So hi, welcome to this video. This is part of Module 5, but it's the first video talking about the 5 different levels of business. And we actually talked about this in depth in one of the launch videos, but just really briefly, I want to run through this. We're going to talk about this a lot over the next 5 videos. But in order to understand business, I've broken the concept of creative business down into 5 levels, and they are: first of all, pre-launch; second of all, presence; third, publish; fourth, promote; and the 5th one is prime. In this first video, we are going to be talking about the pre-launch phase of business. Now, there's certain characteristics of each level of business, and I've got my notes here, and I'm going to go over each of those with you. If you're in that first level of business, the reason it's called pre-launch is because you really haven't gotten things off the ground just yet. Your business is just an idea or a dream, or it might be a hobby. It might be just a passion that you're treating as an interest, and rather than treating it like a real business. The revenue at this stage is low. It's less than $1,000. You're dabbling here and there. Friends and family might be using you, but you really haven't determined the value of the product or service that you're offering, and you're not trying to command that in the marketplace at this point. The number of employees is 1, that's you, and you are definitely struggling to just exist. That's the main struggle at this stage, is do you do it or do you not do it? And so many of you wrote in before the course and asked me if this course was going to be for you or not, and my answer to you would be pay attention to the things in this video and maybe the video on the second level of business, and you might find some answers and some help to help you figure out how you want to get started. Now, what this stage looks like, and the actions and that are typically evident in this stage, is a lot of brainstorming, a lot of thinking out loud. You're talking to everybody about, I might start this business, I have this idea, or I'm looking for an idea. Might be something else that you find yourself saying a lot. You're very curious about business, and if you're in this stage, that might be one of the reasons why you've taken this course, is you want to determine whether or not you've got this, and whether or not you feel like you can make this idea of yours a viable business. Or maybe you're just thinking that you want to be in business for yourself, and you're not exactly sure what that looks like, so you took this course as a way to do research about, or to learn more about starting a business before you dive in. Sometimes at this stage you have a website or a landing page, but it's not fully fleshed out yet. And that's definitely something that we'd like to see you do at this stage, is put up a website and at the very least start collecting email addresses. And that would be one of the first action items I would recommend for you to do if you're at this stage. Problems that you're going to experience at this stage are, first of all, you're going to be overly excited about things. Sometimes when we're overly excited about things, we tend to put on rose-colored glasses and we think things are going to be bigger and more magnificent than they are. Not that your business isn't going to be big and magnificent, but one thing that I would encourage you to do at this stage is worry about being better. Bigger will take care of itself. It's really easy to get super excited, but remember that business is a marathon, not a sprint. So pace yourself, learn to temper your overexcitement. It's still great to be excited about things, and that's definitely something that you want in business, but just try not to go overboard on that. Another problem at this stage is the details are fuzzy. You know that you want to be in business, but you're not exactly sure how that's all going to look like. These lists that we're getting ready to give you, not only in this video, but in the next 4 videos as well, are really going to help you get clear about some details and some action items that you need to be implementing in your business. Also in this stage, you're going to experience a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So you're going to be wondering, do you really have what it takes? You're going to be saying to yourself, I don't know anything about business, but I really feel called to do something in business. So completely and totally disregard those things. I can promise you, yes, you have what it takes, and there's no reason to be scared about going into business. It's an exciting world, and there's always lots to learn, and so just dive into it with that mentality and you'll be totally fine. Another thing that's sort of fuzzy at this stage in business is what your goals are. And a lot of times, as creative entrepreneurs and as females, we start a business because we want to provide for our family, but we also feel called to make a difference in the world around us. And so it can help you to get really specific about your core, really start to dive into that Module 1 foundation aspect of things. You're going to have more time at this stage of business than you are in later stages of business to really understand who you are and what you have to offer the world, and how your unique assets can be meaningful and add purpose to your life and help others in the process. So let's get into some very specific to-do lists for this stage of business. So if you're at level 1 in business, here are the things that you should do based on module and also based on the 7 systems. First of all, for module 1, that's your foundation. And the number one thing that you can do is really define who you are, define your core, work through module 1. If you're in one of the later levels in business, levels 2 or 3, you might have already done that work, or you might not have done that work, and you might need to find time to go back and do it again. But definitely understanding who you are and how you can reflect that in your business is part of having a unique, authentic, and compelling brand. So that's work that you're not going to want to skip. Another thing that defining your core can help you do is understanding what your voice is. Now, another thing that you can do at this stage of business is develop the discipline of consistency. I'm a big fan of Jon Acuff and what he calls his 5 a.m. club. The principle of that is that you wake up at 5 a.m. every morning while you're trying to get your business off the ground, and you work an hour on the business. Not only does that help you get the business off the ground, but another thing I like about that is it helps you implement the discipline of consistency. And in business, as you progress through the different stages, different things are going to be required of you, and you're going to have to adopt different mindsets and use different skill sets. But if you have that discipline of working at regular hours or a consistent pace, you're going to be able to use that to benefit you in developing content, publishing content, and keeping your business systems running later on. So right now in level 1 is a great time for you to pick a certain hour of the day, commit to working on your business steadily at that time. Remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint, and every hour that you can work on your business, no matter what level you're in, you're closer to the end goal and the end game and the results that you're trying to achieve. Now, another thing that I would like to see you be working on if you're at level 1 in your business is a traditional business plan. Now, in the e-course, we've talked about having a non-traditional business plan in place, something that helps creative entrepreneurs with systems. And a lot of what I've taught you in the course is designed to help you put the right systems in place for your business. So what I'm talking about right here is a traditional business plan that a bank might ask you for if you were ever going to go to them and ask for a line of credit. We've got a worksheet designed to help you walk through that. So you might want to take a minute and put that on your list of things to do. Start working on getting that traditional business plan worksheet filled out. Now, in your systems, there are certain things that I'd like to see you be doing for each level, for each system in this level 1 part of business. The first one is market research. Really understand your customer. This is a step that so many people often skip, but I can't reiterate enough that it's really all about the connection with your audience. And your audience wants to know what you can do for them, not what service that you're just providing because it's something that you're passionate about or something that you like to do. So I would highly recommend developing or really diving into understanding your customer and using some of the systems that we've provided in the course to keep you on track and making sure that you're always in tune with your customer. You can also do more in-depth market research and study different people in your industry. I recommend starting a notebook and maybe printing articles off the internet, or you might even want to start an Evernote notebook, some type of digital file system where you can keep and record market research and demographic research and different things about your business that are going to help you understand your customer better. At this point in time, another handy thing to do would be to do a SWOT analysis. Now, a SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Anytime you do a SWOT analysis, you're going to be educating yourself on what the market looks like, and we have a SWOT analysis worksheet for you to download and work on as well. Okay, now on your website system, the number one thing you need to do is you need to get your domain name reserved. If you can get your domain name reserved and then also get a landing page put up with the ability to accept email addresses, you get bonus points. Just a little inside tip on that, I use DreamHost as my hosting provider, and we'll link to DreamHost below. In DreamHost, you can do something called a one-click WordPress setup, and that will automatically install WordPress on your site. You can easily change the themes on WordPress. You could purchase additional themes if you want to, but if you're just getting started, there's no need for you to do that. And there are lots of plugins that integrate with email service providers like MailChimp that'll allow you to quickly and easily put an email address acceptance form up there on your website. So if you can do those things as well, you get extra bonus points. You can also hire someone to help you do this website portion of things, but I really encourage you to try to do it on your own. You're going to need to understand how your website works, and relying on just a web developer to do that for you isn't necessarily going to be building the knowledge that you need to run that digital part of your business. That leads us into the email system, and on level 1, I'd really like to see you choose an email provider. MailChimp is a great recommendation just because it's free for up to 2,000 email addresses. So I recommend going and setting up a MailChimp account and getting that integrated with your website so that you can start collecting email addresses. On the content system, one thing that you can do is start to think about and possibly decide what channels you're going to use and start thinking about what type of content you want to create. In other words, are you going to be creating a blog? Are you going to be building a YouTube channel? Maybe you're just going to be building an Instagram audience. But think specifically about what type of content that you're going to be producing for what channels, and just start to keep notes and thoughts and ideas and collect ideas about that. For your social media system, I'd like to see you go and reserve your chosen social media handle at all the major social media accounts. So that's going to be Facebook. You could start a Facebook page, Twitter, set up your Twitter account, reserve your Instagram handle. You also might want to think about reserving your name at Tumblr or whatever other YouTube and whatever other social media channels you think you might want to use. On the funnel part of the funnel system, you can start thinking about what types of products or offerings that you want to implement in your business. But as you'll see, we're going to dive really quickly here into the admin checklist because you have a lot of administrative details that you need to take care of at level 1. The first thing I would recommend on the administrative level is make sure you know how to use Excel. Excel can be a very handy tool for helping you process data, information, numbers. I am not an Excel expert by any stretch of the imagination, but if you go to lynda.com, you can take all kinds of online classes and it's free for the first 30 days. I would recommend at least taking an introductory Excel class to make sure that you're comfortable with Excel spreadsheets. You're going to want to, also on the admin level, you're going to want to check your business name and make sure it's not trademarked. Now, if you've done some good research on finding a website name and a URL, you may have already done this, but you might want to go to trademark.gov and run a search and make sure that the tagline that you're thinking about using or the business name that you're thinking about using isn't reserved by someone else. After you do this, you're going to want to legally form the business. You can do this by hiring an attorney, or it's really easy for you just to Google start LLC in my state and figure out how to do it online at your own state. Now, I'm not trying to give anyone legal counsel, so definitely make sure that you have checked the regulations at your state and that you're forming the right entity for your business. A lot of times a CPA will help give you advice on this, and that's great counsel to seek. Or maybe you have a friend that's a lawyer or a business attorney that's willing to just talk to you without charging you for a little bit since you're just getting started. You're going to want to get an EIN. That stands for Employer's Identification Number, and that's something that you have to get through the federal government. Now, you may not actually be an employer. You may not want to employ anyone or have any employees. You might be choosing to set up a business that only uses freelancers and independent contractors, but you're still going to need that EIN for filing important documents. The next thing you're going to want to do is set up a business bank account. It's very important early on to start disciplining yourself to divide your business finances from your personal finances. So don't try to cash checks into your personal account or put funds into your personal account that should be in your business account. Try to keep as clean a dividing line as possible between your personal finances and your business finances. You're also going to want to research and get business insurance. And I know that at the early stages of business, this might feel like an unnecessary expense, but especially if you have equipment or like a computer, or if you're a photographer, a camera, or even if you have supplies that you have invested in that are tools of your trade, you're going to want to make sure that those are insured. And insurance can also cover something called loss of income, where if something happens to any of your business equipment or anything happens to your business and you were able to not work for a certain amount of time, you can contact your insurance agent and see about receiving loss of income for that. So that's an important thing to check about as well. I do recommend calling an insurance agent in your area and talking to them about it. And then the last thing you want to do in the administrative stage of business is file your trademarks. So if you're starting to work on any type of proprietary product or service and you want to have a trademark filed on that, this is a little bit of money. You can squeeze this task over into level 2 or level 3, but don't delay it for too long, especially if you have a unique product or service that you want to make sure is protected legally. Last but not least, if you're looking for a book to read during this stage of business, I recommend Seth Godin's Tribes, because it's really going to help you understand what your audience is looking for and to use the tagline from that book, why they need you to lead them. So it's really going to help you start to understand why you need to be positioning yourself as an expert in your audience's mind. The final question I get on each level is, how long will this take? And if you're working for an hour a day, I would think that the level 1 stage of business is probably going to take you no more than 3 months. It might even take you less than that, depending on how fast you work and how quickly you're able to get these things set up. So hopefully you'll be flying through level 1 pretty quickly and moving on to level 2. And we're going to talk about that in the next video.